Dr. Jacques Trespitri of Soho MD here at the Bullpen at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. I'm here with Dr. Sridhar from Neurofields. Hi, Dr. Sridhar.
Hello,
Hi.
Dr.
Yeah, you can go, Jacques. Yeah,
Hi, Jacques.
Yeah, good to have you here. Could you tell us how you got here?
Sure, yeah. So I actually started off as what's known as a solid-state physicist, condensed matter physicist, and I did early research on high-temperature superconductivity. And then a few years ago, I decided that I wanted to focus on applying my skills and what I've learned to more medical problems. And so I transitioned there, and I've done research in the two main areas in biomedical science and technology are nanomedicine and neurotechnology.
Wow.
And so the neurofields came out of originally out of a grant I had from DARPA.
Okay.
And this was to to develop new electrical sensors that would measure the electric fields generated by the brain. And so as the brain does
through the skull or
through the
Okay.
these are non-invasive, so outside the scalp.
Yep.
And the brain is active all the time. It's generating electric fields and potentials, which are then they do show up on the scalp.
Yep.
And the idea is that if you could measure them, then you would have an insight into how the brain is working. So this is kind of the driver behind this. All of this, what I'll be talking about. And so this DARPA, there was a Grand Challenge project and to develop new kinds of sensors, and we did that. We were very successful. And then, just around that time, a little bit later, there were new developments in virtual reality headsets that came along. So we got the idea. I says, wait a minute, why don't we put our unique sensors in with these new portable VR headsets and see if we can understand how the brain processes what it sees.
Wow. So in real time, you're able to see what the input is and what the resultant
Exactly,
field is.
right.
And how does that differ from like an EEG?
So
as far
it
as these
is
sensors?
EEG, but due to triggered by visual stimulus.
Wow.
Not just standalone EEG, but this is triggered by what we see.
So you're looking at the optical lobe and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right. So the idea is that what we see excites cells on the eye,
yeah,
and then that generates electric signals, which then travel to the back of the head,
to the occipital, yeah.
to the visual cortex,
Yeah.
and that's where it's all processed. And so what we do is, our sensors pick them up at the back, and from that, we try to understand how the brain is, how this eye-brain pathway works.
Wow.
And for now, we've been focused on looking for really abnormalities, which are indicative of diseases. And so there's about 500 million patients who, with various conditions like macular degeneration, glaucoma, optic neuritis, multiple sclerosis, amblyopia, and so on. And one of the key challenges that both the patients and the clinicians face in diagnosing these diseases is something we're all familiar with. You go to the eye doctor and you're shown something and you say, yeah, maybe I see it, maybe I don't, and then they ask you to hit a button, and it's actually quite tedious and stressful for the patient.
And very subjective.
And very subjective, and prone to artifacts. So we have eliminated that subjectivity with our solution, which is called NeuroVeep, or NeuroVEP. VEP stands for Visual Evoke Potentials. And these are the signals that are generated on the scalp, as I described before, when you see something. And so what we have developed, the NeuroVEP is our flagship and MVP product for the company Neurofields, and it has three major technological breakthroughs, which are one, the electrodes are, we've patented. We have 3 awarded patents. They were developed to reduce signal to noise. To increase signal to noise, reduce the noise.
Yep.
And then it's completely portable, which is a key feature because, current VEP systems are all cart-based, and they're bulky. Ours is less than 2 pounds, and you put them on, and you could have 5 patients in a clinic who are, just quietly being diagnosed. And then the third is development, which we are leveraging, is AI-powered analysis, machine learning, which again is only a few years old. So put all of this together, that's the secret sauce in our neuro VEP systems. And we've tested more than 200 patients so far with various conditions like macular degeneration, glaucoma, multiple sclerosis. And both the patients love it because currently, again, as I mentioned before, the system that are used to diagnose visual field is what's known as a Humphrey visual field analyzer,
Okay.
where you sit in the dark and you got to punch a button, and the patients hate it.
Yeah.
And those who have tried our system who've tried both, they said they love our system because all they have to do is just sit there and listen to a podcast. And of course, focus on, make sure they're watching what's the display. And so it's a 10 to 15 minute test, and we've tested up to age 88.
Wow.
So that's why it's attractive to the patient. The clinicians like it because it fits into the clinical workflow, and that's a key aspect also. The current systems are kind of clunky. One of them actually involves a needle poke that we,
not great
not
experience.
fun. Yeah, right. And so we have, developed this. We've raised $3 million all in non-dilutive grants, and we're now at an inflection point where we are ready to take this to get this manufactured, get the 510K approval.
Into the full production.
Right, do the production and then do a product launch.
So you're going to transform the field of ophthalmology. Like this is a
That's-
whole different
yeah.
paradigm shift in terms of
Exactly.
how we're assessing, how we're doing the workups and
Correct.
doing
Correct.
the exam for patients.
Correct. That is a holy grail in that field, where you want a non-invasive, easy to use screening device.
Yep.
And that just hasn't been available, and we believe we are providing that.
Yeah. And then in terms of things like hypertension, where people see changes as well, those are things
Right,
that this device could pick up as well.
Right.
Wow.
So, for instance, in fact, I've been talking to Big Pharma at this meeting here, and their interest is they've got drugs in the pipeline to treat macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diseases like that, but they don't have good clinical trial endpoints that are objective.
Totally.
And so they're very interested in our technology. And one of the big things that I'm hoping to pursue in the near future is strategic partnerships with some of the big pharmaceutical companies that are active in this space.
Yeah, that's incredibly exciting. What are your hopes for this year? Like, what are you working on?
We wanna put together some infrastructure. We're looking for funding so that we can put that infrastructure together and do a design to manufacture prior to another next round where we would complete the 510K and do the product launch.
And as far as the bullpen goes, what's your ask? How can the bullpen support your?
So one of the great things about the bullpen has been meeting people who are similar to my situation, and so it's kind of a nice club. And also, I think we're seeing that there are potentials, the people who could actually help us in this journey, because what we have, we're very solid in technology. We've got great KOLs. I mean, our collaborators. I'm in Boston, which is kind of the mecca of medical research.
Exactly.
And we collaborate with all the top hospitals there, Tufts, Mass Eye and Ear, Boston Children's. So we're absolutely solid in that area. What we need are now more of the business experience and people who can get this into, translate this. And so that's the kind of partnerships I'm looking for in the Bullpen.
That's wonderful. So if you want to learn more about Dr. Sridhar and the work that Neurofields is doing, you can go to bullpen.ventures. His link in bio will be there. Thanks.